Hello and welcome to Year 5 Grammar. For this lesson you will need a pencil and some paper. You can pause at any time. Today we're going to be recapping what we know about relative clauses in sentences. Can you remember what a relative clause is? Have a little think about it now. Relative clause enrich sentences by offering extra information. A relative clause is a specific type of subordinate clause that adapts, describes or modifies a noun. They usually begin with a relative pronoun. Now we know what a relative clause is. Can you remember what a relative pronoun is? Have a little think about it now. A relative pronoun refers to the noun you are talking about. It can refer to a person, animal, place, or thing. The three relative pronouns we are going to concentrate on today are who, which, and that. Who refers to a person, which refers to an animal, place, or thing, and that can refer to a person, place, or thing. So now that we know a relative pronoun can refer to a person, animal, place, or thing, can you identify the relative pronoun in the sentence below? The girl, who was called Cara, enjoyed dancing with her friends. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to find the relative pronoun. Brilliant, well done. The relative pronoun is who. That must mean the relative clause is who was called Cara. It gives us more information about the noun, girl. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to identify the relative pronoun in the sentence below. The dog that was completely blind would run into the kitchen table every day. Well done, that's right. You should have identified that is the relative pronoun. So that must mean the relative clause is that was completely blind. It tells us more information about the noun dog. Well done. Now that we can identify the relative pronoun in sentences, we're going to move on to identifying the relative clause in sentences. Remember, when identifying the relative clause, you need to underline the whole clause. See below for the example. The dog that was completely blind would run into the kitchen table every day. I've underlined the whole relative clause, which is that was completely blind. Now it's your turn. Can you identify the relative clause in the sentence below? The boy, who was pleased to be back at school, ran into the classroom. You may even want to circle the relative pronoun. Well done, that's correct. The relative clause is who was pleased to be back at school, and the relative pronoun is who. Can you tell somebody who our relative clause is referring to? That's right, well done. It's referring to one of the nouns in our sentence, boy. It's your turn again. Can you identify the relative clause in the sentence below? The cat, who was adorable, stumbled into the tree. give you 5 seconds to find the relative clause. That's right, well done. The relative clause in the sentence below is who was adorable. Can you identify the relative clause in this sentence? Mr. Harris, who worked as a secret agent, flicked through the paper silently. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to find the relative clause. Well done, that's right. The relative clause is who worked as a secret agent. We're going to try and identify the relative clause one last time. The wind, which was bitterly cold, whistled through the trees. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to identify the relative clause. That's right, well done. The relative clause in the sentence below is which was bitterly cold. It refers to the wind. Now we're going to apply what we've learned to some different questions. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to have a look at these 3 sentences. Can you underline or identify the 3 relative clauses? There's 1 in each sentence. That's fantastic. Well done. In the first sentence, you should have underlined that came to our town. It refers to the fun fair. In the second sentence, you should have who lives in Australia. It refers to the uncle. And in the final sentence, you should have underlined whose rabbit I look after. Well done, everybody. Our last question, everybody. So can you identify the sentence that contains a relative clause? I'm going to give you 30 seconds to see if you can identify the correct sentence. Well done, everybody. The first one is the correct one. The relative clause is who I met at the park. It refers to meeting the boy, which is the noun. We've got one last task. That is to write a paragraph about Tim Peake, the astronaut. Try to include at least 3 relative clauses. Remember our relative clauses that we have been concentrating on today. Who, which, and that. Well done for all of your hard work today.